Good evening. This is Brian Lehrer.tv, where new media meets New York. And this is a week when a web video made headline political news. So we begin tonight by simply showing you how presidential candidate Herman Cain, currently #1 in the polls, including the Iowa caucus poll, chose to portray his independence in a campaign video released online but not on TV. The man in this 1-minute video is Cain's campaign manager, Mark Block. Now hang in there, the newsworthy part comes at the very end.
Mark Block here. Since January, I've had the privilege of being the Chief of Staff to Herman Cain and the Chief Operating Officer of the Friends of Herman Cain. Tomorrow is one day closer to the White House. I really believe that Herman Cain will put United back in the United States of America, and if I didn't believe that, I wouldn't be here. We've run a campaign like nobody's ever seen. But then, America's never seen a candidate like Herman Cain. We need you to get involved because together we can do this. We can take this country back.
I am America, one voice, united we stand. I am America.
Take this country back, punctuated by a puff on a cigarette. Now, the Herman Cain alleged sexual harassment issue is grabbing the headlines this week, but this ad raises some real questions too. Is smoking a cigarette the symbol of Herman Cain's brand of independence? Apparently, he wants people to think smoking is a cool way to defy the establishment in his name. Did they think no one would notice because the ad was only released online? Well, guess what, Mr. Cain? It's now been viewed well over 1 million times. And guess what, viewers? It turns out it's raised a lot of money for him, too, by people who like the idea and don't like people coming down on him for it. Oh, I can't wait to hear who he'd appoint as Surgeon General. Also coming up this hour, an online game that aims to show what it's like to live in poverty, a local startup that's bringing student lonely hearts together, and an annual competition that promotes the work of local emerging artists on postcards. And again this week, our video picks will focus on Occupy Wall Street from various points of view. But first, a look at Occupy Wall Street from a different angle. The movement has been accused of not having a clear enough message. Well, my first guest believes that a visual language can help clarify what the movement is all about. He helped create Occupy Design, a project that aims to recruit graphic designers to put the principles of Occupy Wall Street into black and white, and sometimes color. Jake Levitas joins us via Skype from San Francisco to tell us more. Jake, thanks so much for coming on the show. Hello from New York.
Hey, it's great to be here. Hi from San Francisco.
We'll show some images in just a minute, but give us a basic sense. What are you up to?
So what we're up to is the general idea came about that there was, as you said, a lack of a clear message or kind of a wandering message of sorts because the movement is so diverse, which is in our view and the view of many others, one of its clear strengths is the diversity. But if you look at the media, the mainstream, etc., it's very quick to characterize the movement, try to classify it, try to come up with a way to put it into a box that they've already sort of have a preconceived notion about. And from our point of view, that isn't what it's about. It's about showing all the different points of views. So what we wanted to do is create a visual language to help connect designers with the movement. Because we have a lot of people who are, essentially wanting to get involved, but, work full time or don't have a way to otherwise, make their voice heard and put their skills to use.
So we'll spend most of the rest of this segment showing a lot of examples of the work of Occupy Design. Let's put up the first one, and we will see that this is about wage change. Let's get this up as soon as we can. Can we see this? Can the viewers see this? We see CEO pay at 298% of average pay. Corporate profits up 106%. Workers' pay up only 4%. And the minimum wage down 9% in real dollar terms since 1990. So this is a basic bar graph, Jake, of information like we might even see in math class or social studies class, right?
So what's unique about this time and this movement is that if you look at the statistics, it's a movement that 99% of people, at least, should be able to get behind. It's simply a problem that is unique to our times. Every indicator of inequality is off the charts higher than it's ever been in history. Obviously the main goals of the movement, the main concerns of the movement are the masses suffering because of the decisions of a privileged few. So when you communicate that through statistics, those are a lot harder to argue with than talking points. And because this is the first movement where people have had kind of globally distributed access to graphic design tools, to data sets, to statistics, and the means to distribute them globally in real time, it's really a fundamental change in the way we think about social movements and how we hold the 1% and the rest of government accountable.
All right, so we're going to speed through some of these. The next one is also an infographic, and this shows how the top 1% own 42% of American wealth, more than the bottom 95% combined. So you have the graphic of the dollar bills on the left, the graphic of all the people in the middle, and again, the dollar bills on the right in the relative proportions. Let's move right on to the next one and explain to us what this is. This is called Move Your Money, with looks like big banks on the left, a big arrow in the middle, and little banks on the right.
That's right. So part of what we're creating, we kind of divided our designs up into three categories, and the designs that we're accepting from around the world. Protest signage, so that's with a focus on infographics. Universal iconography, which is some of what you see here, and then logistical signage, so things that people can use on site at occupations around the world. And those three really boil down into the ways you communicate both inside and outside of the movement. So this one, Move Your Money, is great because if you think about iconography, it's a way to universally communicate concepts across the world without language barriers.
If we still have that one, I want to show it again.
Yeah.
If we can go back to that one. There we go. The universal iconography, it's the building with the dollar sign, I guess represents a bank almost no matter where you are. Excuse me. And then it's the people, right? Little people, big bank in the left one, big people, little bank in the right one. That's the universal iconography.
Right. So it's something as simple as that, but that's something that people can understand in Latin America and Asia and Europe, where this is all popping up around the world. And if you think about it, there aren't really an existing set of social justice-based icons. There's things, if you go to an airport, that's where icons are, very, very often used because there are so many international people traveling through them. You have things for bathrooms, luggage and things like that that are immediately distinguishable, but you don't have things for human rights, for credit unions, for example, for the 1%, or for unemployment. So we've been creating these icon camps where we actually just get together in the course of a weekend and make as many of these icons as possible and then release them so anyone can use them.
All right, so here is Zuccotti Park and some of the Occupy design in action. If people can see this on their TVs, it says average CEO pay is 350 times average worker pay, the highest ratio of all time. You see the Occupy logo at the bottom that one of your designers created at the bottom right with a fist in a square. And what are all those little squares on the rest of that sign, Jake?
So it's just a common way in information design to represent quantities and ratios. So you can just clearly see one small square is the average person's income. So
that's down on the lower left, right?
That's right. So for someone like you and me, you can get a very graphical understanding of what 350 times means and how essentially unjust that is. How did the system get to be that way? It wasn't always that way. These are the questions that we hope the movement starts raising when people are empowered with this type of information.
How about that logo for the movement itself? Again, on the lower right of this, I don't know if we're going to see it more clearly in a subsequent one. There we go. There we go. It's a fist with a cross, in this particular case, by the wrist, and in a square with kind of rounded corners, and the word Occupy at the bottom. Is this supposed to be now the universal symbol of the Occupy Wall Street movement?
Not at all. It's part of our designer toolkit. So what we wanted to do was give people, designers, a tool to create these sort of standard graphics within a common visual language, but people are also open to use any of these or not in any of their own designs. So obviously, our goal is not to create one defining language in such a diverse movement. And there's, excuse me, many dialogues that go on within the design industry about how to, or whether there should be any design within a movement at all, and what the balance is between that sort of helping people with graphical language tools and providing this sort of top-down imagery. And we're trying to do the former rather than latter, really a bottoms-up movement. We've received designs from all over the world so far, both using our toolkit and otherwise. So that's one of many sort of icons and symbols. We thought the fist was kind of the most common symbol used so far, and we just put it in that sort of clean format as a complement to the rest of our...
And we see it pop up in a different way on the banner that people are carrying that says Occupy Design, Architects and Engineers for the 99%, where in this case, with that logo on the left, instead of a cross at the wrist, it has the fist holding a pencil because it's for designers, obviously. And
So that was the main logo on our site, and that was adapted by, just today that photo came in from architects and engineers who were taking the day off to be part of the general strike in Oakland. So they created that banner independently using sort of the masthead from our website, and it was great to see that out on the street. That's really what we'd like to see more of around the world.
all right, let's see another Occupy Design poster from another designer. We'll see the caption there is quiet. Freedom of speech is for corporations. So the Uncle Sam sleeve silencing an average Joe. And you're taking things in from another one, income is income, raise the capital gains tax. Again, we see the little fist at the bottom. And let's see, do we have one more? Buy a share in America, buy local, support local. And we're almost out of time, Jake, but these are just examples of things that have come in from different designers that you're putting out there to help visually define the movement or help the movement visually define itself.
That's right, and we've had hundreds come in from around the world. Designers are looking to get involved. Occupiers are continually requesting things through our website. So things like t-shirts, banners, posters, icons for web design. These are always that the graphic designers right now are connecting with people on the ground and helping them communicate their message that much better. So what's really unique is that now we can have someone request a design one day, a matter of hours later, it can be completed by a professional graphic designer, and it can be printed out that same day on the street and brought to the occupation in a really short amount of time. That's a really unique possibility that's just being opened up by social media and web engagement, in addition to traditional on-the-ground protesting and demonstrating.
Right. And just to give credit to the designers whose work we showed, the quiet freedom of speech is for corporations. Also, the buy a share in America is from a designer named Brian Tatosky. And the income is income, raise the capital gains tax is from someone going as corporate antidote. So thank you very much. I think our viewers now will understand more where these images came from when they probably see them in other news coverage of the movement. So thanks a lot.
All right, thanks so much.
Coming up after a break, Spent, an online game that puts you on the wrong side of the poverty line.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
I'm lucky. Let me help you with that. I get to do something I love. It has nothing to do with touchdowns or titles.
Everybody bring it in.
I get to play a part in the life of someone just starting out.
How many of you think homework is just as important as teamwork?
I help keep kids in school,
Good.
and that's the name of the game. My name is LaDainian Thomason. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United.
According to the rhetoric of Occupy Wall Street, 99% of Americans are in the same boat, facing serious economic challenges, as the upper income 1% just keeps getting richer. But if you don't think of yourself in the same boat with the 46 million people in America living below the poverty line and close to 20% of New Yorkers, it's all too easy to get into an us and them mindset when it comes to poverty. Urban Ministries of Durham, an agency that provides support to people living in poverty in Durham, North Carolina, wanted a tool to better communicate what it's like to experience poverty and how close it is for many who may not realize it. They turned to an ad agency called McKinney to create an online game called Spent. Like the images created by Occupy Design, it's a novel way to communicate dry statistics. Copywriter Jenny Nicholson, who worked on Spent, joins us via Skype from Durham. Hello from New York. Thank you for coming on with us.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll give our viewers a chance to play along here in just a minute. But tell us a little bit more about why a game to show what poverty is like to people not in it.
Well, one thing that we've seen increasingly these days is games are an extremely effective way to engage people. And we thought, why not a game to talk about poverty? While we were coming up with an idea for Urban Ministries of Durham, Farmville was becoming, it was hitting its peak of popularity. And we thought, you know what, if people can have a game pretending to run a virtual farm, then why not have a game to raise awareness of a very real social
All right. Well, let's take a look at how the game works. It starts by setting the stage. I'm unemployed, a single parent, and the challenge is to make it through the month. So on the left, I see how much money I have left. On the right is the day of the month, and now I face different challenges. Let's play a bit of the game. What we see is a graphic here that says you're running out of money fast. It's time to get a job, any job. Here's what's available. Click a listing to apply. So viewers, you'll see restaurant server, the logo on the left, warehouse worker, the one in the center, temp, the one in the middle. Jenny, what should we know about this before we move on?
We actually used Craigslist listings and then government data about the standard wages in those occupations to make it as realistic as possible. Unless you're an extremely good typist, I don't recommend for your viewers taking the typing test, which is part of the temp job right now. So you might want to pick server or warehouse worker.
All right, we can become a restaurant server. A lot of people doing that in New York to get by. And it says, let's hope you get some good tips. The average salary for this job is $8 an hour. And you have to buy the khakis and shirt for your uniform. So let's see. The rest is numbers that you're likely to make and what you have to pay in taxes and other expenses. So your weekly pay is $262.
That's correct.
And then just click continue.
Yep.
All right, let's see what happens next in this game. Congratulations on getting a job. Would you like to opt in for health insurance? Your monthly premium is $275. What do you want to do? Okay, let's opt in. I want to have health insurance. Result, well, now you've got health insurance, but you've also reduced your weekly paycheck by almost $70. Let's continue. Find a place to live. Okay, so here we get the idea, Jenny, I think, because now we've gone through health insurance, we're going to go through the cost of rent, and the person winds up in poverty at the end of the game?
Well, the basic point of the game is you deal with all of these things that face people who are struggling on the edge, and you might make it with some money at the end, but I think most people playing it quickly get the realization that it's not a sustainable way to live, that you might be able to scrape and scratch and claw your way from one side of the month to the next, but then the next month comes and the next month, and after a while, I think it's very easy to see how that can be extremely exhausting and depressing and maybe feel like there's no way out.
Right. So basically you're starting with a certain pretty low income and seeing if you can make it through the month. how many people who play the game actually make it through the month without running out of money?
You know, we don't actually keep statistics about that, but what we have found just from anecdotal reports and emails we've gotten is that many people, the first time they play the game, they don't make it through the month because they're taking sort of their assumptions coming from sort of a middle class, upper middle class view and trying to put those on the game, and they run out of money very quickly. And then we often find that people play more than once and they start making decisions that maybe they wouldn't have thought they were the type of people to make. But they have to do that to get to the end of the month. And I think it's pretty eye-opening for people.
Tell us how you integrate social media with this game.
One thing that we thought was interesting is that, you know, it's easy sometimes to assume if you don't know anything about poverty that people are sitting around waiting for a handout and waiting for other people to bail them out. And so
And you're breaking up a little bit. We're having a little trouble hearing you. But you want people to connect via social media if they're not in poverty with people who are in poverty? Is that where you were going?
No, the idea is you have to have the emotional experience of asking your friends for help if you want to get out of a sticky situation. And to get people to understand for themselves how extremely difficult that can be.
And it is, at the end of the day, a fundraising tool for your group, United Ministries of Durham. And if people can't get through the month and they just get so frustrated trying to simulate what it would be like for them to be in poverty, if they're not in poverty, they click on an icon that says, I can't do this, right?
Whether you give up before the month is over, whether you run out of money, or whether you make it all the way through the end of the month, you are given an end screen that says, you know, if you got something out of plain spent, then donate $5 to cover food for somebody who's actually living in real life.
You sent a challenge to Congress recently, I understand. Tell us about that.
That's right. Well, we were watching all this stuff going down with the debt ceiling and all of that, and we thought, you know what? These people are the people who need to play it because they're the ones who are in charge of many of the decisions that affect people struggling with situations like spent. And sometimes it feels like they're not very connected. And we've actually had letters sent to Congress people in 47 of the 50 states.
That's great. And tell us how to play Spent if we want to do it.
Yeah, if you want to play Spent, all you have to do is go to playspent.org.
Playspent.org. Thank you for sharing your game with us.
Great, thanks so much.
Here are this week's 5 online video picks. And again this week, they all turn their cameras on Occupy Wall Street from different points of view. Pick number 1, a Zuccotti Park smackdown when big-time investor and media personality Peter Schiff came a-calling and mixed it up with an occupier on behalf of the 1%.
The regulation we want is the market. That's the regulation that works. The same thing is with labor. A corporation just can't take advantage of its workers and pay them as little as it wants because businesses compete with one another to buy labor.
Did a corporation end slavery or did the government do it?
Well,
did corporations?
What does slavery have to do with what we're talking about?
We're saying what there is a role for government in our society, and corporations cannot do everything.
But slavery was wrong to begin with, so let's not even. It was government that created it. Government is there to protect property, life, liberty, and that's it. I mean, you mentioned Walmart. So what are you afraid that Walmart's going to do to you?
What am I afraid they're going to do to me?
What is Walmart doing?
You should go and ask the employees that are working in sweatshop type conditions that don't get enough hours, that don't have health care. How is it?
Wait a minute. Then why don't they quit? I mean, Walmart doesn't hold a gun to their head if they can get a better job.
So why did the rape victim get raped? What was she doing out late at night? Do you want to go back to 1920, 1930? What is this golden year that Republicans want to go back to?
I don't want.
What year? The 60s? The 70s?
I don't want to go back to that technology, but I want to go back to that level of freedom. I want.
The level of
there was
freedom
more
for
freedom
who?
for
Some
everybody.
Women couldn't vote at some point. African Americans and others had to ride in the back
I'm
of the
telling
bus.
you
want to go back there.
Look,
we don't want to go back
I'm telling you, there's more economic freedom.
There was more economic freedom.
Yes,
but
a
what
lot
about
more.
social freedom and social justice? There's been memorials for Steve Jobs all over the place, at every Apple store. There's reporters that are all around the world that never asked one single question to Steve Jobs when he was alive. Why are you manufacturing your iPhone in China, and you don't have any of your manufacturing here in the
And I'll
United
tell
States.
you why. Because
Do
we've
you
made
think that's fair to the American people?
Wait, the American people don't own those jobs. Steve
no,
Jobs has
but
the
no,
right
but
to manufacture where he wants.
He does have a right to do it.
And the problem is, we have made it too expensive for him to manufacture
Oh,
here.
we did.
With our,
We,
the
because
government.
The American workers want too much?
No,
because
the
we
government
want
put
too much
too
healthcare?
much.
Oh, it's the government's
Again,
fault.
remember, the reason that employers, right, want to lower wages is because their customers want low prices. Everybody in this park wants low prices. You can't have low prices.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
That came from Reason Magazine's YouTube channel. Pick whichever side in that clip you want. Maybe that's part of what makes our country great. Two opposing views smartly and freely and peacefully exchanged, then shared on YouTube for thousands to see and think about. Unfortunately, a not peaceful exchange is our video pick number 2. This is an excerpt of that moment in Oakland, California last week that has become such a rallying cry for the Occupy movement, when police tossed devices known as flashbangs or tear gas canisters into a crowd that appeared to be peaceful at the time, injuring protester and Iraq war vet Scott Olson. This version hosted by Matt Kresling, who narrates the incident from an Occupy point of view. This has been seen more than 1 million times.
I think everyone should see a few moments from the police crackdown of the Occupy Oakland demonstration. The police say that they cleared the demonstrators using non-lethal force, but a tear gas canister can be lethal if it hits you in the face. It's hard to see from this video exactly how this demonstrator was wounded, but if you doubt that the police were deliberately aiming at the protesters, watch this policeman when a group of protesters attempt to come to the aid of the injured person. Watch that again.
What happened? What happened?
You got hit. You got shot.
What's your name?
Wake up.
What's your name?
What's your name?
Shit.
Medic!
To be fair to the police, reports are that a few protesters threw rocks and maybe bottles at some officers just before that incident. But the video seems to show no violence immediately precipitating that police attack that left Olson in critical condition and the other protesters scattered away from helping him. The good news is they now say Olson should make a full recovery. Pick number 3 is a Tea Party spin on Occupy. Check it out as Tea Partiers in suits show up at Occupy DC.
Hey, I love capitalism. What about you guys? Love America.
Yeah.
Unions destroy jobs.
How's that good? He doesn't mean it.
Oh, I mean it.
No, he doesn't.
I think unions, I think public sector unions especially destroy jobs.
Are you kidding me?
For young people especially.
You carry that sign jokingly? You think that's a joke? That's not a joke. I can't believe you would carry that sign. Look at
Yeah?
Look at it's stupid.
You're an idiot.
Oh, that's nice of you. Thank you. Have a good day. The man is not Wall Street. The man is big government.
And you know damn well they're against our group here.
Or you can walk away. Awesome.
I'm
All right.
going to walk away because I don't turn the other cheek, and you push me, and then you can.
Is that a threat? Did anybody else hear that? Is that a threat? I don't know.
Sounds like one.
Yeah.
Try 'em.
Hey, I'll give you a constitution.
It's okay, I know it by heart.
You do? What's the first line?
Our troops are the terrorists.
How are our troops terrorists?
What the hell are we doing in Afghanistan? What the hell are we doing in Iraq? What the hell are we doing in Yemen?
How are
What the
they
hell are we
terrorists?
doing all across the
They're following orders from our commander-in-chief.
Commander-in-Chief. These assholes.
Capitalism sucks so that some corporate can make the money.
So wait, why didn't you move to Soviet Russia when you had the chance? You look like you're old enough to. Going overseas because high taxes
You're
here.
lying.
Because we have high taxes.
Yeah, just one thing. We
Hey,
paid 50%
no cursing,
taxes.
please.
I'll point at you. What are you going to do about me pointing at
I
you?
didn't say pointing. I said.
Going to do shit.
For the killing of Osama bin Laden? Not for how it happened. I'm not even for his killing.
I just don't think.
All unions destroy jobs. Public sector unions should be made illegal. We just don't like communism or tyranny or fascism, particularly.
So the Tea Party confronts OWS. And in our video pick number 4, one occupier finds a clever way to keep confronting Wall Street from the comfort of his living room. Call this ways to have fun with the postage-paid return envelopes that the banks always send us when they want us to sign up for another credit card.
Phase 1, this is the easiest. Everyone can do this. Just take the envelope, lick it, seal it, and send it back empty. It's quick, it's easy, it takes you 5 seconds at the mailbox every day, and it costs the bank about 25 cents. Now I know that means banks pay less for postage than we do, but please, let's have that protest another day. Now phase 2, if you're willing to put a little more work into it, would be to send it back full. Just take all the materials that came in the envelope, put them in there. Take the envelope itself, put that in there. I mean, after all, the heavier the envelope is, the more it's going to cost them in postage. And then any other junk mail you got that day that you think might be interesting to them. Like I got this baby products catalog, and I'll put that in there. I mean, bankers have babies, and being immoral doesn't mean you're infertile. The other thing that I do is I send them a note. I printed out a bunch of notes on my printer, and I just clip them out, and I put one in with each envelope. That way, they know that this wasn't just a miscommunication. It actually was communication. This one says, "Hello, big bank clerk. Please join a union." Now, phase 3, if you're willing to put a little bit of money into it, and I do mean a little bit, would be a wood shim. This is a wood shim. It's exactly what it looks like. It's a piece of wood. You can get a pack of 12 of these at a hardware store for about $1.50.
Funny, I never did ask my mail carrier how much it costs to mail a wood shim. That video posted by Ransacked Room. And video pick number 5 this week is a treat because it's some footage shot at Zuccotti Park by the great filmmaker Jonathan Demme, and because it's a video of one of the really fun elements of the Occupy scene, the Zuccotti Park drummers. Jonathan Demme footage of Zuccotti Park drummers and dancers. The drummers have been controversial, by the way. The drumming is limited to 4 hours a day now after neighbors complained to the community board about the non-stop sound. And those are this week's online video picks. It's time once again for Startup City, the feature of our program in which we check in with up-and-coming New York tech sector entrepreneurs. This week, it's Date My School, an online dating site where the place you went to school really, really matters. Joining us to explain why exclusivity is the perfect match are entrepreneurs Alexa Balash and Shrestha. Welcome.
Welcome. Hi, nice to meet you.
So you're both immigrants. I want to acknowledge that. Shrestha, you're from India.
Yeah, I'm from India.
And Alexa, you're from Hungary.
I'm from Hungary.
How long have you been in New York?
I arrived last January.
Just last January. And Shrestha, how about you?
I think 4 years. I did my college here, so.
So you're here to start a business now.
Yeah.
And why build a dating site around what school people went to?
So back then in January, I came here to do an MBA program at Columbia, and I became very good friend with one of my classmates. And another friend of us who went to nursing school complained all the time about that in the nursing school, 90% of the students are girls. So what happened is that nursing school girls and teachers college girls hung out all the time in the business school library. So after talking about this and laughing at this, we realized that in the business school, 70% of the students are guys, and we just didn't really understand why there is no online platform or any way to meet these girls, in a more targeted way.
Isn't this in a way how Facebook started? Yeah. Zuckerberg started up at Harvard, looking for Harvard students to meet other Harvard students.
Yes, that is true. It's sort of uncanny how similar starting up is. But again, I mean, we're sort of different than Facebook is. Facebook is, a network for people you know and you trust. This is sort of a network of people that you trust but you don't know. So it's sort of a reverse Facebook, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And tell us about the business angle of this, because this series is Startup City. We're looking at different folks that are trying to start different businesses here that are tech related. How do you make money on this?
I mean, so in the online world, making money out of dating is not really rocket science. It's the most proven kind of business model. So we are not really, the website is for free to use completely now. But we are not worried of making money in a couple of months. What we ended up doing is that we wanted to grow a little bit more, so we introduced this kind of upgrade or premium features on the website, which someone or a user can access by sharing a link with a friend. But many users come back to us that they don't want to share, they don't want to expose themselves, which is kind of the value proposition of the website, which is completely private and safe. So I get like an email or two every day asking me to let me please pay for the upgrade services, which is very useful, like a dozen features that are super useful if you're on the site. And these we want to satisfy these users, and we're gonna let them pay.
Pay premium
and
prices. Can I ask how you found the red tape, the city bureaucracy in terms of starting up a business? Do you think it would be easier or harder to start a business in India, for example, doing the same thing?
I know that people in Wall Street have a lot of issues with America, but let me tell you, I mean, this is a fantastic country, and it's been phenomenal. Like every step of the way for Columbia University, and I went to NYU, they were there for us every step of the way. The ecosystem is such here that it's just, for me, especially coming from India, I mean, I don't know about Jean, who is French, and he's Hungarian. I don't know about them, but coming from India is a revelation. I mean, India is a growing economy, but America is already there.
And is there a scene, kind of a tech startup scene that you're part of in which you meet up with other people, or you're just in your rooms or your homes, on your computers, doing your thing?
Actually, we should probably get a little better at that. We're not the most social people, I think. I normally talk a lot, so I guess I get the social cake, but these guys are... I mean, I agree with Shrey. I mean, India, we're going to go to India, so we're going to experience it firsthand.
You are?
Yeah.
You're going to try to start up the same thing in India?
Yeah, going to expand there, and probably within half a year. But I have to say that starting a company in the US is an amazing opportunity. Not so much because of the regulation, which is all over the world the same. I also had startups in Eastern Europe. Jean had startups in France. Regulation is more or less the same. You get more or less the same obstacles. As an entrepreneur, you know that you do things and you ask later. You go until you get a slap in your face. But like, the US is amazing from one perspective. It's huge. It's a huge monolithic market, and we could have never started this app that easy in other countries just because universities are smaller there. That's the main reason.
Thank you both. We're out of time, but it sounds cool. Good luck. Thank you for coming in.
Cheers. Thank you.
After a break, do you play pickup basketball? There's a new web tool to help you find a game.
Ma, guess what? I went back to college. No, I didn't quit my job. I'm finishing my degree with a CUNY Online Bachelor's in Business. I interact online with real City University of New York faculty on a schedule that fits my busy life. Ma, you should look who's teaching at CUNY. And it all leads to a high-quality Bachelor of Science degree in business. I can attend class anywhere, anytime. Yes, Mom, even at your house Friday night for dinner.
The CUNY Online Baccalaureate. Get back to business.
Welcome to the Solar Generation Road Trip. If you want to know how solar energy is working for America, you have to go out and ask America. We're talking to people from coast to coast who are using solar power every day. From a few panels on a homeowner's roof to large solar plants with enough utility power for a whole town. Solar energy is working for America now, saving us money, creating new jobs, and giving our world a brighter future. Welcome to the Solar Generation.
Into each life, a little rain must fall. And what rains on our cities flows into what we drink. The Arbor Day Foundation invites you to plant trees in your community, so the water that flows into our rivers and streams will be clean and safe. Visit arborday.org to find out how to plant the right trees in the right place. And support Tree City USA, where you live. Go to arborday.org.
So what could be simpler or more New York than a game of pickup basketball? Some guys, and sometimes gals, a court in the park or at the playground, and you're all set. But what happens when it gets too cold to play outside, as it will soon be, and how do you find other players at your skill level? And what if your work schedule means you can only play at select times? Well, maybe it's not as simple as we thought. Joshua Summers faced the problem of finding pickup games himself and decided to build a website to solve it. He created indoorhoops.com, and he's here with us now. Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
How does a website find you a basketball game?
So pretty much how it works is anybody with a passion for basketball can register on indoorhoops.com, and then once you become a member, you have the ability to view all the schedules for every location, and from that point you can then pick a location, reserve a spot if there's an available spot, and then show up, show your ID at the front door and play and go home.
And the key is that you're contracting with a number of different public schools so that you can use their gyms. Your members can use their gyms at different times, right?
Exactly right. We have permits for 10 different schools right now where, you know, we could use their space on weeknights, weekends, pretty much whenever there's availability, we will take it. And then that availability we then use for our games.
I can hear my teenage son at home right now saying, oh, pick me, pick me. How old do you have to be?
Unfortunately, you do have to be an adult, so 18 and beyond, but I mean, you know, we have a wide range of players from the 18-year-olds to we have a 72-year-old.
And guys only, I understand?
Well, we started off guys only, but now, you know, our intentions were to eventually shift over to guys, girls, co-ed, and we've had enough demand from the female sector where we'll have a game for females in probably not this week, but next week.
Right. Do you have to pay these public schools?
Yes. So to take out the permits, I have to pay a substantial amount to the public schools, which then allow the schools to have their custodial staff there, security staff there. So there is a payment required.
Can anybody do this? Like, I'm sure we have a lot of viewers who play maybe corporate softball or something like that, which requires permits to play on the city fields and the city parks. Can anybody get a permit for a gym in a public school?
Technically, yes. You're required to have a certain liability insurance policy. You're required to have a certain security policy in place. But if you have all of those things and the school has the availability and the custodian, the principal, they agree to it, technically anybody could get that permit.
You have 8 locations in Manhattan and 2 in Brooklyn, and you have people self-sort by ability, so they're playing with other people at their level, right?
Yes, so you know, I kind of copied what the USTA tennis rating system is, so you could either be a 1.0 beginner up to a 4.5 an advanced college level player.
And how accurately do people tend to rate their own basketball abilities?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I think as a whole, people tend to underestimate their ability.
Underestimate
Yeah,
their
yes.
ability.
So that way, I think you go into a game, you don't want to be like the worst person on the court. So I've had a bunch of people email me, hey, you know, I realize maybe I'm a 3.0, not a 2.5.
The one area in New York where humility rules.
Exactly.
And who thought it would be in signing up for basketball games. Good luck with Inside Hoops. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Indoor hoops.
Indoor
So I
hoops.
get it right. Indoor hoops. After a break, Curate NYC, an annual competition to promote the work of local emerging artists on postcards.
Ma, guess what? I went back to college. No, I didn't quit my job. I'm finishing my degree with the CUNY Online Bachelor's in Business. I interact online with real City University of New York faculty on a schedule that fits my busy life. Ma, you should look who's teaching at CUNY. And it all leads to a high-quality Bachelor of Science degree in business. I can attend class anywhere, anytime. Yes, Mom, even at your house Friday night for dinner.
The CUNY Online Baccalaureate. Get back to business.
Crack yellow.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
I'm lucky. Let me help you with that. I get to do something I love. It has nothing to do with touchdowns or titles.
Everybody bring it in.
I get to play a part in the life of someone just starting out.
How many of you think homework is just as important as teamwork?
I help keep kids in school,
Good.
and that's the name of the game. My name is LaDainian Thomason. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live united.
Visual artists in New York City will be glad to know that Curate NYC, a showcase for local emerging artists, is back for the second year. Works are displayed online and in galleries, locally and nationally. It's also a competition and provides a way for artists to sell their work via the net. The city's Economic Development Corporation is a partner, along with arts organization Full Spectrum Experience, led by painter and gallery owner and poet Danny Simmons. Danny's here and with us as well to tell us firsthand what Curate NYC can mean for an artist, one of last year's winners, painter Kate Forvell. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Did I say your last name right?
Yes, perfect.
Forvell, okay.
Yes.
Cool.
So, Danny, for all the artists out there whose ears just perked up and said, what? I can enter a competition, I can get displayed.
Yep.
What's it all about?
Well, first of all, it's all about it's free. So, you guys, you know, New York City, the mayor, through the Economic Development Corporation, decided that they wanted to do something for artists to stimulate generate economic activity for artists. And Brian Tate and I, who's my partner on this project, came up with an idea last year, and we responded to an RFP and won the RFP, and we did it last year and got 1,200 artists on the site, 600,000 website hits.
Submitting images of their work, basically.
Submitting images of their work, and it was a jury competition. We decided we wanted to show as many artists as possible. So we went to the postcard format, and their image was on the postcard, and also a bio. And we showed them at my Rush Arts Gallery in Chelsea, and Kate was one of the people who won. Well, this year, we decided, you know, let's try to expand on this a little bit, and let's make it a little bigger. So we said, what can we do? So two things happened. We added online shows. Three things happened, actually. We added online shows. So there's going to be 14 different online shows, 6 by museum curators and 8 by additional galleries. Wow. And then we added live, instead of postcards, actual artwork in 5 galleries, 1 in each borough. And then we said, well, the economic activity, this doesn't necessarily help with the economic activity. Although some people sold some stuff, we wanted to push selling this art for artists, because at the end of the day, artists have to eat. And so we added an e-commerce store to the website. Wow. So people will be able to come and see a piece of artwork and click it and buy it. Or sort of like, you know, you buy something on Amazon, you buy something on eBay. So that's what we've done this year.
That is great. So it's art and it's economic development. I want to show your website, curatenyc.org, right?
.org.
.org. And you can walk us through. Now let's see. We're going to see some images.
That's not the website.
I'm not sure if we're seeing the same thing as is on the TV screen.
I don't mind that image.
But we're going to look. Okay, we're going to try to get that Curate NYC up in a minute. Kate, what can it mean for an artist since you were one of last year's winners?
Well, last year was an amazing experience for me. It was incredible to be selected by such an amazing group of curators. And then just since then, my sort of career has kind of spiraled outward. So I've just made a ton of connections through Curate NYC. It kind of set up a bunch of shows for me and a bunch of networking experiences that really helped me as an artist.
As an artist, and also to put food on the plate?
That part I'm still working on. But my painting from last year was part of a series of children that I was working on, and that spiraled into a project I'm working on now called 1.1, where I'm making 1.1 million life-size paintings of kids, one for every kid in a New York City public school. And so that project sort of directly came from my Curate NYC.
And we're going to show a few examples of that work and your Curate NYC winning work in a minute. But first, let's look at Curate NYC's current homepage. Danny Simmons, walk us through this. That's a good-looking homepage. Well, if you do say so yourself.
Yeah, if I do say so myself. Well, we have a rotating thing. So far this year, we probably have about 850, maybe 900 artists on the site. I haven't checked this morning. But this goes through all 900 artists eventually, and you see what you see. Then you have, that's the homepage, and then it's about page, of course, about who's Economic Development Corp, full spectrum. And then the view entries, so you can go through all 800, and then you click on the entry, and when the entry comes up, you'll see the bio, this, that, and the other information about that actual image that you're looking at, and there you go. So that would be one of the images.
So somebody clicked on one of those images, and can people vote?
People can't vote.
No.
We have jurors. We have 10 jurors that we're going to be looking at and voting.
So
and
it's a juried show, a real professional caliber thing.
Oh yeah, it's a real. We really spent a lot of time looking at who these jurors are going to be, and they're from a cross section, a very diverse cross section of curators, well-recognized curators from around the city, and maybe even a little bit further in the city. As with the online shows, we really went to some really top people. We have Larry Stokes Sims, who used to run the Studio Museum. We have David Harper, who's the art person for BAM. We have Kevin Slayton, who's the head curator. We have Laurie Farrell, who runs SCAD. So we have curators looking at this work that are really, really phenomenal curators.
And then the winners will have their work displayed in postcard exhibitions in one place, and then their actual works
in other places,
size, in galleries all over the city.
And then also online. So there'll be 14 different online shows. So you have 3 opportunities to be seen: online, in person, and in postcard at my Gallery Rush in Chelsea.
And next year, we invite you to come back and bring one of your winners from this year and show his or her work, like we're going to do right now with one of your winners from last year, Kate Forvell. So Kate, tell us what we're looking at here.
We're looking at a piece called Our Faces. It's a 6 by 12 foot double-sided painting on vinyl. I use acrylic and spray paint, all inspired by faces of children. So
that's one image. Let's go on to another one. We're going to see a number of samples of your work.
Yeah, this is a piece called Incarceration, also inspired by my work with New York City public school kids. It deals with teenage incarceration. It's an 8 by 5 foot painting.
Do you work with teens who have been incarcerated? Is that part of your work?
I run an after-school program for arts. It's an arts and sports-based after-school program, working with all like teenagers. Yeah, and we're kind of preventing that from happening, so just exploring the statistics.
That's great.
This is another 5 by 8 foot painting on vinyl. Also.
More of the kids.
More of the kids, yeah.
All right, and we can keep moving through these. These were all in the show last year?
Not all of them were in the show. I think we'll see. A piece called Brooklyn was in the show last year. It's a group of kids.
So you submitted one image to Curate NYC.
Yeah, I submitted one image and it was selected.
And it was one of the winners.
Yeah.
Now I understand you have a project going where you are trying to paint every child in the New York City school system. Do I have that right?
Yes. It's called 1.1. I'm making 1.1 million life-size images of New York City public school children. one for every kid in a New York City public school.
Wow.
Yeah.
There are like 1,000 plus schools.
Over 1,700 schools.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so how are you doing this?
So I am seeking artists in 5 boroughs, establishing teams of artists to help me to do this project. So I created a workshop based around identity where the artist or myself will go into the schools and do a project with the entire school using photography to explore identity. From those photographs, each of the artists will create the images of the students in that school in whatever media they work in.
And you're going to do this in 1 school year, you hope?
I'm doing it in 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, 5 years.
But she's done about 2,000 on her own already.
Yeah.
I just want to mention that Danny Simmons has a new book of poetry as well, called what? Inspired by our new media world?
It's definitely inspired by your new media world. It's called Deep in Your Best Reflections, Poems in 160 Characters. And at first people think I mean 160 characters in the poetry, but it's 160 word characters. So they're basically text poems. They were poems that you would text
The length
somebody.
of a text message.
Yes, the length of a text message.
Do you have one memorized enough to
No,
do it?
I don't.
You don't?
Even though they're short.
You're a literary guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
And for Curate NYC, visual artists can still submit their work until
November 8th. Yes, until November 8th. And during that time period, well, we're almost at November 8th already. But we have different schedules of curators looking at different work as it comes in to sort of drive traffic to the thing. Right now, who's up is Eric Shiner of the Warhol Museum in Pittsburgh. And so he'll be looking at the work, and he's picking 20 to 30 artists that he likes for his, for his picks.
And everyone has until Tuesday, which
Yes.
is November 8th, if they want to submit.
That is true.
CurateNYC.org. Thank you both very much.
I have to say one thing. DannySimmonsPoetry.com. That's where you can get the book.
That too. That's it for this week's show. We roll out a new episode Wednesday nights at 7:30, or see us anytime at CUNY.TV. Next week, programmers create new apps to support Occupy Wall Street. And check out my daily radio show weekday mornings at 10 on WNYC. Tomorrow morning, filmmaker Werner Herzog. That's on 93.9 FM and AM 820 WNYC. Talk to you then.